and several special recognitions tonight. So we will get started. I'll call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Council President Lyda.
Here.
Council Pro Tem Posey. Councilmember Sweeney.
Here.
Councilmember Driver. Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Here.
Councilmember McClinton.
Here.
With a quorum present, we will proceed. If everyone would please rise for the invocation to be given by our clerk and remain standing for the pledge to be led by Councilor Sweeney.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Burkado, we'll turn the podium over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. We have a number of proclamations tonight. I would like the members of BAPS, if they would come up to the front of the room here and just stand in front of our city seal, please. We have Mr. Patel, Mr. Janney, Mrs. Patel, Mrs. Janney, and Mrs. Patel. If you would all come up, and we would like to read this resolution in honor of BAPS. Just right here. We'll come right here. And Mr. City Attorney, if you would.
Whereas BAPS, Swaminarayan Sanstha, or BAPS, is a worldwide Hindu denomination dedicated to fostering faith, inspiring service, and promoting better living. And whereas His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, who lived from 1921 to 2016, established the first BAPS Hindu Mandir in the United States of America on August 4th, 1974 in New York City. And whereas this marks 50 years of service and faith in the United States for BAPS, and over the last 50 years, BAPS has grown to over 102 mandirs across the United States. And whereas these mandirs offer a welcoming and spiritual space for thousands of families, as well as worship, fellowship, communal meals, education, and activities for young and old, creating a true home for the faithful. And whereas BAPS mandirs offer youth activities that encourage and mold young people to live lives of integrity and character that reflect our highest ideals. And whereas BAPS mandirs bring His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj words, "In the joy of others lies our own," to life through support for those in need, whether through a variety of community efforts such as health fairs, food drives, or disaster relief work. And whereas the volunteers of BAPS have time and again answered the call to serve humbly, selflessly, and inspirationally. And whereas BAPS mandirs have a storied history of helping immigrants to the United States retain their connection to their faith, but fully embrace and join in American civic life. Whereas BAPS mandirs add to the rich tapestry of diversity that makes America and Hoover, Alabama a beautiful place to call home. And whereas the BAPS mandirs in Hoover, Alabama is a proud example of how houses of worship contribute to the well-being of their congregants and local communities. And whereas the BAPS mandir in Hoover, Alabama hopes to serve its congregants and the local community with even greater zeal in the next 50 years and beyond. Now, therefore, we, Frank V. Burkado, Mayor, and John B. Lyda, City Council President, and on behalf of the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby congratulate BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha and declares August 4th, 2024 as BAPS Day in Hoover, Alabama.
All yours.
Good evening, Mayor Bricado, City Council President Lyda, all City Council members, city staff, and residents in attendance. My name is Ankita Patel, and I am a proud volunteer of BAPS. On behalf of everyone from our community, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for recognizing BAPS Day and issuing this proclamation. BAPS Day is significant for us because it celebrates our core values and contributions to the community over the years. In fact, with us today, we have Mahinder Patel and Yogendra Jani, who are some of the pioneers that helped establish BAPS in North America over the last 50 years and have been instrumental in our growth and outreach through their selfless service. Your acknowledgement and continued support help us further our mission to highlight the ethos of selfless service through health awareness, educational services, humanitarian relief, environmental protection and preservation, and community empowerment. On this occasion, I also want to take an opportunity to extend a warm invitation to everyone to join us this Sunday, August 11th, to our walkathon. The walkathon will be benefiting the Firefighters Cancer Support Network, Reach Out and Read Alabama, and BAPS charities. We are striving to reach our fundraising goals, and we hope that you can come and join us to support these great causes. Lastly, we would like to thank you again for recognizing the efforts and contributions of our organization, volunteers, and community, which represent a microcosm of BAPS's spirit of selfless service. Thank you again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Now I would ask Pam Thompson if she would come up, and we have a resolution honoring the Green Valley Women's Club Hoover Juniorettes. Hello, Pam. How are you?
Whereas the GFWC Hoover Juniorettes are celebrating 50 years of dedicated service to the Hoover community, originally founded on November 25th, 1974 as W.A. Berry Juniorettes. And whereas the club, part of the General Federation of Women's Clubs, a worldwide organization dedicated to community improvement through volunteer service, has made significant contributions to the local community. And whereas under the leadership of Barbara Lyons and later Kathy Barker, girls from W.A. Berry High School served as officers, learning valuable skills in organizing meetings, coordinating events, and managing the overall functioning of the club. And whereas the GFWC Hoover Juniorettes have provided countless opportunities for young women to engage in community service projects, including assisting at the Bluff Park Art Show, adopting classrooms at Greenwood Elementary School, participating in Adopt-A-Mile trash pickups, fundraising for the Ronald McDonald House, volunteering at the Moss Rock Festival, and participating in numerous charity runs and events. And whereas through their efforts, the GFWC Hoover Juniorettes have positively impacted the community by contributing to scholarships, libraries, and international organizations such as Heifer International, Operation Smile, and UNICEF. And whereas the club has been supported by their sponsoring club, GFWC Shades Mountain Women's Club, and advisors Pam Thompson, Shannon Burns, and Amanda Reagan, ensuring continued growth and service. And whereas the GFWC Hoover Juniorettes will celebrate their 50th anniversary on August 24th, 2024 from 2 to 4 p.m. at Shades Crest Baptist Church, inviting all former Juniorettes to join in the celebration. Now therefore, we, Frank B. Bricado, Mayor, and John B. Lyda, City Council President, and on behalf of the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby proclaim August 24th, 2024 as GFWC Hoover Juniorettes Day in the City of Hoover, in recognition of their 50 years of exceptional service and dedication to our community. We encourage all citizens to join in celebrating the achievements and contributions of the GFWC Hoover Juniorettes and to support their continued efforts in making Hoover a better place for all.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for this recognition. We appreciate your recognizing our accomplishments. Some of the folks here today are current juniorettes, former juniorettes, Shades Mountain Women's Club members, and even some past state presidents of the Alabama Federation of Women's Clubs. And we are looking forward to our celebration on August the 24th, and we're still looking for former juniorettes to attend the party. So if you know of anybody who was in juniorettes, I'm privileged to have been a part of hundreds of girls who have been through this organization, and I believe it's made a difference in their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And what an honor and pleasure it is to have Mally Kate Perry here this evening. She is Miss Alabama Volunteer Princess, and we would love to recognize her, Mom Hillary, Dad Paul, and Madeline and David Perry's siblings, if they would come down, and we would like to read this proclamation.
Whereas a resolution to honor and congratulate Mally Kate Perry upon a successful year of service as the 2024 Miss Alabama Volunteer Princess, and whereas it is fitting that the members of this city pay tribute to those citizens who bring service and purpose to their endeavors, whereas the Miss Alabama Volunteer Organization's principles are represented as 5 points of the crown. Together, the first letter of each of those 5 principles spells serve and stand for service, education, responsibility, volunteerism, and empowerment. And whereas a girl of purpose and commitment, Mally Kate embodies the mission of the Miss Alabama Volunteer Organization's mission of service by volunteering with her church, with the student government at Bumpus Middle School, and collects items for local food banks as her Serve initiative. And whereas Mally Kate proudly represented the state of Alabama as the state princess at Miss Volunteer America National Pageant in Jackson, Tennessee, alongside Livy Thomas, the 2024 Miss Alabama Volunteer, in June 2024. Now, therefore, we, Frank V. Mercado, Mayor, and John B. Lyda, City Council President, and on behalf of the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby present this proclamation to Miss Mally Kate Perry and congratulate her on winning the title and role as Miss Alabama Volunteer Princess, and commend her for her dedication to the people of the state of Alabama, and wish her every success in all her future endeavors.
And what a privilege it is to have Lieutenant General A.C. Roper in the house tonight with his wife, Edith. General Roper has had a long, long line of service in not only the military, but also as a police officer and a police chief. Many of those years served right here in Hoover, Alabama, and what a fine, fine man he is, and somebody I'm so proud to call friend, and so proud that we are going to be able to just honor you tonight with this proclamation, General. So I could call you General or Chief. So either of them fit, but if you would come up, we'd love to read this proclamation.
Whereas A.C. Roper Jr. was born in November 1963 in Birmingham, Alabama, and was raised by his grandmother in a loving home. And whereas A.C.'s connection to military service was a part of his bloodline, as his grandfather, Corporal William Roper, was a Buffalo soldier who served in the 366th Infantry Regiment, the 92nd Infantry Division in World War I. And whereas in 1981, A.C. graduated from Phillips High School and went on to the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And whereas in 1985, A.C. joined the Montgomery Police, where he served as a patrol officer, academy instructor, and recruiter. And whereas in 1988, A.C. joined the Hoover Police Department, where he served as a narcotics investigator, traffic sergeant, training lieutenant, and commander of the Traffic and Patrol Divisions and Investigative Services Division, and as assistant police chief. Whereas in 2007, A.C. began a 10-year assignment as chief of the Birmingham Police Department, creating a culture of excellence and integrity until stepping down in 2018. And whereas during all 33 years as a civilian law enforcement officer, A.C. simultaneously served in the U.S. Army Reserve, and whereas A.C. was deployed during the Gulf War and Operation Enduring Freedom, where he served as a spokesman for all U.S. Army personnel in Afghanistan, being seen by millions all across the U.S. and the world. And whereas A.C. served as Deputy Chief for the Army Reserve, headquartered at the Pentagon from 2018 to 2019, and served as Deputy Commanding General for the U.S. Army Reserve Command in Fort Bragg, North Carolina from 2019 to 2021. And whereas on May 14th, 2021, A.C. made history when he became the first African-American three-star general in the U.S. Army Reserve. And whereas from May 2021 to May 2024, Lieutenant General Roper served as Deputy Commander of the U.S. Northern Command at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado. And whereas A.C. retired from the U.S. Army Reserve in June 2024, capping a 42-year career with the military. And whereas A.C. gives much credit for his success to his wife of nearly 40 years, Edith, and his two beautiful daughters, Crystal and Amber. And whereas he is affectionately known by thousands as Minister A.C., as he has faithfully served over 2 decades at Faith Chapel Christian Center in Birmingham. And whereas A.C. has unwaveringly relied on his faith as a guiding post for the path of his incredible journey. Now, therefore, we, Frank V. Mercado, Mayor, and John B. Lyda, City Council President, and on behalf of the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby honor and celebrate the accomplishments of Lieutenant General A.C. Roper and thank him for a life of selfless sacrifice and service to our great nation.
I'll try to be prompt and just simply thank the mayor, the council, the department heads, the Hoover staff, and all of the citizens for this amazing recognition. It's nothing like being recognized at home. And so over the course of our career, from the Pentagon to defending the U.S. and Canada and all the things that we've done, we never changed our home of record. It stayed right here in Hoover, and we kept our house, and it was great moving back in. And I want to give kudos to my beautiful wife of almost 40 years now. None of this would be possible without her. I'm a blessed man because of my wife, my kids, and this opportunity to serve the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And it all starts with great cities, because great cities make great states make great nations, and great nations make us a much better world, and Hoover is a great city. And it's all about leadership. John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid, that no organization can rise higher than its leadership. And so we have great leaders here, and we are proud to call the city of Hoover our home. Thanks so much.
And I wanted to let everyone know that we have 6 members of our fire department have been deployed to Florida to assist in the hurricane that is generated down in that area. They're members of the Swiftwater team. They are joined with members from Vestavia and Calera, so please keep them in your prayers. That is a very difficult job that they are undertaking, and a very dangerous job that they are undertaking. This week, Saturday, I had an opportunity to welcome East Coast Pro to our city, which is made up of 160 of the top baseball, high school baseball athletes east of the Mississippi, and just a phenomenal program. And they come here every year to Hoover, Alabama to have sports or scouts from all of the major league programs, and coaches and managers show up to watch these young men. And 30 of the participants last year actually signed major league contracts this year, so we're proud to host them. A lot of good things going on in the city. I thought I would also bring you up to date on where we are on our audit, and just to kind of give a little brief history, if you don't mind, over the past few years, our accounting department has lost key personnel to death, retirement, and suffered some personal tragedies. Adding to those issues, the department went through the conversion of a 25-year-old software system. Despite these significant challenges, our folks have worked hard. They've stayed the course. Our annual audits have been sound and thorough, and the city has consistently received clean audit opinions from our longtime auditors of Barfield Murphy. A clean audit opinion means the auditor certifies that the financial statements present an accurate picture of the city's financial position and balances for its various funds and activities. We have received a clean report every year during this administration, and we look forward to Barfield completing the 2023 audit. It is typical for auditors to point out any weaknesses in the accounting process as part of this report, and in 2022, while the report was clean, it pointed out several internal control improvements recommended for our finance department. This was reported at the August 2022 council meeting by our former CFO. As a matter of fact, this information, including the audit, was released literally minutes after we received it. John Anderson from the Hoover Sun wrote a story about it as well. Thank you, John. About a month after the release of the audit and those findings, the CFO retired. We brought in our former CFO, Robert Eaker, to fill that position on an interim basis until a new CFO could be hired. On January 1, 2024, we were pleased to announce the hiring of our new CFO, Jennifer Cornett. Over the past 8 months, she and her team, including Mr. Eaker, have been working to correct the issues cited in the 2022 audit. Several of them have already been addressed, but Mrs. Cornett and her staff are working long hours to correct the others. As Mrs. Cornett began to work through these items, she felt a deeper look at our overall processes should be examined. After discussions with City Council finance leadership and others, and the recommendation of our CFO, Kroll LLC, a reputable and independent firm, was hired to perform a detailed review of certain general ledger accounts, adjustments, account reconciliations, and transactions, as well as financial software implementation. This is also sometimes called a forensic accounting and is much more in-depth than the annual audit required by law. We undertook this review through the City Attorney's Office with the complete knowledge of the City Council, And we wanted to conduct this with the benefit of attorney-client privilege because there were potential personnel, financial, and legal issues, and we wanted to be responsible about how we treated that information while the audit was being conducted. Kroll began this audit in late April. We received word that the report will soon be completed, so I wanted to bring you up to date on the process and let you know that based upon our conversations with Kroll about the status of this investigation, I believe that we can bring the report to be shared with the public within a month. At that time, the full report will be made available. Last August, we addressed these issues with full transparency, and we're committed to continuing this transparency, and we are confident that you and the public will be reassured that this matter has been handled with integrity and great care. With that, I will take my seat, and thank you for allowing me the time.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. We have a special event coming up this weekend, right, Mayor, at the Hoover Met? Bulls at the ballpark. And I believe we have a bull rider with us tonight. Am I mistaken in that? Yeah, tell us all about the event coming up Friday and Saturday night at the Hoover Met.
Yes, sir. My name's Ryan Davis, and I'm the owner of Rockandee Rodeo Productions, the producer at Bulls at the Ballpark. I live right down the road in Harpersville, Alabama. I'm just a cowboy that has a passion for Western sports, and I wanted to just say thank you to the City Council and the Mayor for allowing us to bring this event here. Super excited to be here. Can't think of a cooler venue. We're gonna come in and transform the baseball field, the infield, into a bull riding competition. So we're gonna cut out the pitcher's mound, put the buck and shoots in between the pitcher's mound and second base. Gonna buck bulls back towards the grandstands. I went out and hand selected 31 really talented guys to be here. They're competing for a little over $20,000. The bull power that'll be here will be very, very good. So I couldn't be any more excited. I hope everybody around here is, and just wanted to say thank y'all. Mr. McClinton, thank you very much. I think it was a year and a half ago we sat down and ate a piece of pizza and I brought the idea to him, and he said, man, this sounds really cool. And I said, well, see if you can help me go make it happen. So again, thank y'all. I think you'll love this event and the expectation we have and plans for the future. This could be something that's really, really big. So thank y'all for letting me come.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would like to give kudos, though, to Kelly Peters' team on the event staff. I might have met Ryan a year and a half, 2 years ago, but Kelly and her team, her staff, Aaron Cobal, they helped make this happen. And I really think Hoover is going to have a great location to have this rodeo competition. That being said, council members or the mayor will not be rodeo clowns, and we will not participate. We will watch. Thank you, Ryan.
And Mr. Aldaca, I believe you have an Alabama Power Report.
Good evening. Yes, sir, we do. Just a little bit of background. We have the Alabama Power Energy Saving Project that we started back in February 2021. We completed that project in August 2022. And tonight I have our partnership with Alabama Power team. They're gonna come in and give us this is the first time we do an annual report for measurement and verification on the saving projects. We have a small presentation, and Damien over here, he will go over that and he will answer any questions that we have.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hott. Thank you, City Council. We came to you guys back in December of last year to give you guys our preliminary report. We've had the official report that has been completed. We sat down with Mr. Aldaca and his team to go over that official report in detail. He has a copy of it in his purview, but we also just wanted to come and give you guys an update on where we stand at a very high level as far as the financial savings that we've seen during our first performance year. Next slide, please. So just to summarize again, this is a energy savings project, a performance guarantee contract that we have with the city. Over that, it's a 20-year period performance guarantee where we guarantee the savings of the project in general. The project overall cost was roughly a little over $30 million to complete the project. Within that project, there were 12 what we call energy conservation measures, ECMs. Each one of those 12 energy conservation measures, we monitor those throughout the performance year, and we get we gauge the return or the savings that we see on each one of those projects. Those projects are listed, 12 projects that are listed here on the screen here with the completion dates. Each one of those projects were completed. But to summarize the savings, we have what we call a construction period cost savings, and that construction period is basically the period from when we started the project back in February to when the project was completed overall. Each one of the 12 ECMs were completed. During that time, we calculate those savings and we bank those. Those savings came to roughly around $482,000 over the term of the project, the life cycle of the project. The performance period, those is the annual performance period. The cumulative period from when the total project was completed in August of 2022 to the engagement of our first performance period, which was December of 2023, we saved a little over $1 million during that total time. So the cumulative cost savings through the end of 2023 was a little over $1.5 million. Per the contract that we have over that same period, we were guaranteed to save $1.23 million. So we have a surplus in savings of a little over $270,000 over the first year of the project. Again, that performance period was from August of 2022 to December of 2023. So next year, we'll have a report for 2024. That will be from January of 2024 to the end of December of 2024, where we will come back and we'll give you guys our updated savings for that performance period. Any questions?
Any questions from the members? Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I also want to recognize two former council members who are here, Gene Smith and Joe Reeves. Pleasure having you in the chambers both tonight. We'll now have our consent agenda. Items 1 through 14 are presented as consent items. It will be read as one item and taken as one vote. Any member of the body would like to remove any item 1 through 14, we're happy to do so.
Mr. President, number 14, can we move it to a regular?
Sure can. Item number 14, any others to be removed? Any member of the public here to speak on items 1 through 13, we'll be happy to remove them. Seeing none, Mr. Corley, please read the items 1 through 13.
Item number 1 is the payment of bills, which are submitted to the council for approval. Item number 2 is approval of minutes from the May 16th, 2024 work session and the May 20th, 2024 meeting, which are submitted to the council for approval. Item number 3, Resolution 817924 approves a 020 restaurant retail liquor alcohol license for Hoover Pizza Company, LLC, doing business as Grimaldi's Hoover, located at 5525 Peridot Place, Suite 121, Hoover, Alabama. Resolution number 818024 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with Pitney Bowes, Inc. for the postage meter located at City Hall. Resolution 818124 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with the Jefferson County Commission for the orthophotography and planimetric data cost sharing in an amount not to exceed $33,142.55 per year. Resolution 8127A-24 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an amended facility use agreement with the City of Birmingham for the use of the natatorium at the Crossplex for the swimming competition of the Hartford Nationals. Resolution 819724 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with ClassTran in the amount of $19,974 for the provision of public transportation services for the elderly, disabled citizens and rural citizens of the City of Hoover. Resolution 818224 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with Meals on Wheels in the amount of $10,000 for provision of meals and other services for residents of the City of Hoover. Resolution 818324 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute a court referral contract with the Administrative Director of Courts, Judicial Branch, State of Alabama on behalf of the City of Hoover. Resolution 818424 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with the Level Design Consulting LLC firm in an amount not to exceed $20,000 to produce a conceptual narrative site plan, budget, and schedule for the Baines Bridge site. Resolution 818524 declares certain personal property shown on Exhibit 1 to the resolution is not needed for public or municipal purposes and directs the disposal of same through donation, auction, or recycling. Resolution 818624 authorizes Mayor Brocato to accept bid number 24-012 for correctional facility food and beverage for the city of Hoover, Alabama from Gordon Food Service in an amount not to exceed $224,645.30. And item number 13, Resolution 818724 amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, as shown on Exhibit A to the resolution for finalization.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now move to our regular agenda, begin with item number 14, resolution number 8188-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution provides for the streaming and archiving of all official meetings of the Hoover City Council held in the city council chambers on the city's YouTube channel, and to establish a section on the city website for public access to meeting minutes, agendas, and video links.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8188-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes. So a couple of things to consider on this, although I don't have much of an issue from the top to bottom of this particular resolution, but Wendy and/or legal want to make some modifications. Does individuals that speak before the public have to give their full name and address? The reason why I say that, police tells us all the time, if you're going out of town, don't post you're going out of town because you have criminals being there. This is a live meeting, and we basically telling individuals that I live at such and such, such and such, please feel free to stop by as long as I'm not there approach. If they are able to just state their name and community, legally, don't know if that can happen.
Yes,
They can.
that's correct.
So one modification moving forward, first name and just the community. Janice from Bluff Park. If you want to give your entire address, feel free to do that piece. Also, when I served on the school board, it was some challenges with parents not wanting to be visible and their kid visible in the public. It is individuals that do have protective orders and a lot of different things that they don't want certain people to know where they're located. Although I'm fine with recording that piece of the public, I would ask either can the camera be rotated during that time to the council or just the audio be present, not video. This is all to protect the public. Look, I signed up to be a politician, and I have signed a state ethical, know anything about me in a sense. But for our public, some people feel uncomfortable getting up there, and I don't want to impact that at all. They should be free to get up in the podium and not be televised to the world.
Yes, that would be a policy call for the council to make, and certainly the clerk could work with the IT department to direct the cameras or the video any way you prefer.
I can direct the cameras if I know ahead of time. But as far as it's live streamed, so it's not.
That's fine. As long as it's away from the actual piece doing the public participation piece. That really, those are my only two. And just, I know it's an 8-year process. And there is new technology. We use the cloud. I guess I'll ask Mayor, I don't know if Moose can, or if someone be able to answer this question. So these will be archived on our format. So there's no concern about them being removed. The reason why I asked 5 years from now, if they're supposed to be there, you can't find one of them, who will be responsible for that? Or will they, was there any challenge with them being removed during this period of time and the level of effort it takes to go research that?
Yeah, so the internal system that we use overwrites as the space is made available, but once it's posted to the YouTube channel, it would require manual deletion for it to be taken off there.
Okay, so no concern if, okay, so those are my questions I have. So we can make those modifications in this if possible. If not, you got to vote it up and down. Those are my two.
I think we would, if I'm understanding Mr. Murphy correctly, these would need to be changes to the resolution to ensure we're noting his wishes. Is that okay? Mr. Murphy, would you like to continue the resolution until the next meeting to make these changes?
Can they be changed with, up under the statement I just made and just be modified following?
I'll need a motion to amend.
Okay.
We want to make sure the language is correct, and also, as far as the names of the speakers, we need to have some way to record it for the clerk, and whether that's them filling out a form or coming and
Right.
providing that to her
Right.
directly before, during, or after the meeting. We just want to ensure that we have a record for the minutes of who speaks.
All right. Just however we do that, if it's recorded out there, returned, as long as from a public standpoint, they don't have to yield that.
That's great.
Let's
Now,
take a
it
couple
would,
weeks to
the
figure it out.
minutes are
this is how
out
we
there
wanna do it.
on the website, so once the minutes are approved, names and addresses are partial addresses are posted to the website.
Okay. Well, just however y'all want to do that. Those are my wishes
I
on.
think it'd be wise for us to take a couple of weeks to figure out exactly how to do that so that the clerk's needs are met and the resolution is accurate.
Represents.
Yes.
So let's do that, if that's okay.
Can I verify what the clerk is saying?
Come on.
As far as, we don't need to require full name and address at the podium, but for your records, they would need to provide you with their full name and address.
That's correct.
That's correct.
And
And that would be posted with the minutes.
That's correct. Now, if there are, like he was talking about, certain conditions met, I would not put that, as long as I know ahead, and they have let me know that, then it would not be posted.
Mom, go ahead.
Councilman, there's not a legal requirement to provide an address, but I think the city has long followed that practice in case somebody wanted to follow up with an individual. But certainly, anyone is welcome to speak, and there's no legal requirement that their physical address be provided.
So the requirement of providing name and address to the city clerk is our own policy and not a legal requirement?
Correct.
It,
Want to continue?
Councilor Murphy, I understand what your concern is. And I understand where you're coming from with your experience with the school board, because when you're dealing with children, it's completely different rules. But I think there's some major differences between council meetings and school board meetings. I'm just trying to recall or recollect any time that there has been sensitive minors up at the podium.
Yeah.
And not saying that it couldn't happen.
Right.
But I think for the most part, our community has been asking for more transparency with the streaming. I think that could be handled, personally, I think that could be handled on a case-by-case basis through the city clerk without having to rewrite the ordinance. That's all.
And just one, if I can, Mr. President, can I?
Sure.
And not just for kids, domestic violence just don't, look, I'm for transparency, I always have. And again, I am voted up or down approach, but just those are the only two pieces. And if the council doesn't want to apply that, that's perfectly fine, but I just want to put that out there.
Mr. Murphy, do you wish to work on the wording over the next 2 weeks? Do you want to make a motion to continue it?
Wish of the council, I'll make a motion to continue it to modify the wordings and place it on the next agenda for review and approval.
We have a motion to continue for 2 weeks. Is there a second? The motion fails for lack of a second. We have a motion for approval and second. Any comments from the public tonight? Mr. Schultz. Name and address, please.
Robin from Bluff Park. It was almost 2 years ago to the day that I discovered that the videos from the city's YouTube channel had been removed, taking with it 6 years of history. On top of that, the clerk was ordered not to begin the live stream until the action items began and to stop it when the action items ended, which excluded public comments. I stood right here on August 1st, 2022 and asked all of you, why are you doing this? You have nothing to hide, right? Nobody answered. Nobody wanted to take responsibility, just finger pointing. In the October 2022 issue of the Hoover Sun, we began to find out the truth. The article on the front page read, transparency. From the article, a majority of council members were surprised to learn that the older meetings had been removed. No elected official has taken responsibility for the initial decision. The mayor said it was the council and to ask the council president. Council president said he didn't know who made the initial decision. 4 council members said they didn't know who made the decision and they were not consulted. The technology director said to ask the PIO, and the PIO said to ask the attorney. And the attorney said to submit the question in writing and then said, this was a council policy communicated by the council president to the city clerk without a vote, just a policy. Yet the majority of the council members opposed it. Another line from the article, Lida said state law determines what transparency is. In November 2022, I discovered the deleted videos on the archive site, downloaded them, and created the Hoover channel on YouTube, ensuring the videos are now permanently available. In March 2023, we began streaming meetings in full, including public comments. In May of this year, I was asked to come up with a draft ordinance to restore the complete streaming of meetings and restore clarity in the minutes of the meetings. I submitted the ordinance and it underwent some changes as expected. The final version, which turned into a resolution, is before you tonight. I compared the submitted version to the final version. The submitted version had the following paragraph. Whereas the city of Hoover is committed to promoting transparency and openness in government operations. That was deleted from the final version. Regarding the council minutes, the submitted version read, the minutes of all city council meetings shall be written in a manner that is transparent, concise, and clear. The minutes should accurately reflect the proceedings of the meeting without being vague, ensuring that the public can easily understand the decisions and actions taken by the council. The entire paragraph was deleted. Ironically, any sentence containing the word transparent or derivatives of that word were deleted from the final version. I'm glad that the streaming will resume, but the Hoover channel will continue, perhaps not with the cameras on site, but we'll download the video and upload it to our YouTube channel. Because you deleted them once, you can do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Ms. Norris Carter.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm Katrina Carter. I live in Bluff Park. It's always a pleasure to be here with my Hoover residents. I got some questions. I've been kind of asking you guys individually about a few things. I have some concerns, mainly when I see, and let me first of all say it's always great to see capital improvements. It's always great to see growth here in Hoover, Alabama, but we never want that to be at the expense of the residents that are already here in Bluff Park. And I'm concerned with the stormwater issue. I think I've kind of been asking about it. I'd love to know a little bit more about why, if we're gonna do like $32 million in capital projects, we only have $1 million going to stormwater. I'm thinking, and I'm
Ms. Carter,
I'm
sorry to interrupt you. Do you have a comment about the resolution before the body right now? If you'd like to talk about stormwater, we'll have a public comment section at the end.
Okay, we
If you'd
can
like
do
to
that.
comment on this item, you're more than welcome to, but I'll let you know when public comment's up.
Okay,
At the end of the meeting, we'll get you back. Is that okay?
that'd be great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great, yes.
Anyone else?
Hi there. Sorry. Good evening. I'm April Marie Fogol. I am a Birmingham resident, but I'm also a freelance reporter, talk radio host, and the publisher of Alabama Today. In mid-May, I began a series of investigative news stories and opinion pieces for digital media and radio on the state of transparency here in Hoover. I knew one counselor here and had come to know and respect him and expected to find that while there was smoke, there would only be a small, easily extinguished fire. I thought I'd make a couple inquiries, including to the PIO, write a couple stories, including one about the Hoover channel, and see a movement like we're seeing tonight, a righting of wrongs, and then move on to another area of the Birmingham metropolitan area, another city, and continue. Instead, I was stunned by what I found and keep finding. I was equally surprised by what I couldn't find, answers. Earlier, when discussing the audit, the mayor mentioned a council meeting. That council meeting video would not be online for the residents of Hoover to see, if not for the Hoover channel, if not for this council keeping the videos online. So you come before us and you say, this happened at the council meeting. And then the minutes are incredibly vague. Robin spoke earlier about we have seen a change. We residents, we media, we counselors have seen a change in the meeting minutes, the vagueness. I believe that this resolution should be tabled, if for no other reason than to strengthen it, not weaken it. While I appreciate that the council is taking up the meeting, I don't believe it goes far enough. There is no logical reason for an 8-year limit on maintaining the videos. Hoover prides itself on its recognition as one of the best cities in the state and nation. There's no reason for Hoover not to be the most transparent city in the state. Without the services of the Hoover channel, I couldn't have watched prior meetings. And again, I speak to the minutes. We need to keep what was in an earlier draft of this to make sure that the minutes are appropriately reflective, detailed, and specific. We all laughed when John Anderson's award-winning writing, which showed a Dr. Seuss-style word salad about what happened to get the policy changed in the first set of videos deleted. We still don't have answers to that. We stand here today without answers. The city attorney spoke to the need to delete the recordings. The State Department of Archives wrote to me, and I quote, "The Record Disposition Authority lists the minimum time that agencies must keep records that are created. Agencies may choose to keep records longer. I encourage you to do so."
Thank you, Ms. Fogol. Anyone else like to speak? Very good. There is a motion and a second on the floor for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. We'll now move to item number 15, resolution number 8189-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves the payment of legal services fees performed for the benefit of a city officer who desired to secure legal services other than those normally provided by the city.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8189-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This item was not discussed at the work session on Thursday, so I'll ask Mr. McClinton to introduce the item to the body.
I'll be abstaining from the vote, and I'll leave the resolution as it stands.
Mr. Corley, could you tell us what the resolution is about, please?
Yes, Council President. Due to the confidential and sensitive nature of this issue, the following is a brief summary that we can share. In April 2023, a female employee texted a member of senior leadership at the city and reported that she had had an uncomfortable exchange with a city council member. The member of senior leadership met with the employee. The employee reported that the conversation made her uncomfortable and that she did not feel like she could say no to what was described as an unwelcome request for a meeting outside of working hours because of this person's position as a city council member. This was reported to the Human Resources Department as required by city policy. After this was reported to HR, shortly thereafter, the employee followed back up with the same member of senior leadership and stated that she had changed her mind and wanted to meet with Councilor McClinton and no longer felt uncomfortable. Based on this, HR concluded that no further action was necessary, and Councilor McClinton was informed that there was no further investigation or action pending related to this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Corley. Any comments or questions from the body?
Yes. So, to divulge what Mr. Cordy just said, very partially factually true. So,
Councilman Clinton, I feel like I have an obligation to let you know that it is a potential violation of the Alabama Ethics Act to deliberate on this item.
you just did.
I'm not an official. I'm saying.
How
that in your
convenient that is.
No, I'm just saying in your capacity as a city council member, from the dais, as a city councilor,
So you didn't mind just saying that little?
I'm saying that it is potentially in violation of the Alabama Ethics Act for you to deliberate on this
Okay.
matter, but that's.
I'll read this statement, gentlemen, and y'all can decide what you want to do. Last summer, council members requested that I seek an attorney general's opinion about reimbursing my legal fees. As I was preparing to do so, because I was exonerated after the fact, the mayor insisted that I refrain from that action. He assured me that I would trust him and the city attorney, stating that they would find a way to cover my legal fees legally and ethically. Following his advice, I stopped pursuing the AG's opinion and waited for the city attorney to devise a plan. This plan involved a review committee comprising the mayor, the council president, and the council pro tem. They would assess my situation and decide if it warranted covering my legal fees. However, when I informed the council president of my intention to use this process by the city attorney, he warned me that he would vote no in the committee, forcing me to make it public and have this today. He said this was payback for my earlier stance on the YouTube policy from John Anderson's article on October 22. Later, when my wife and I met with the mayor and the city attorney to discuss when the committee would meet to have a ruling on this, the pro tem informed me the committee had already convened. The council president and the mayor voted no to pay my legal fees. Trusting the mayor to establish this process only for him to vote no was highly disappointing, especially given the assurances to my wife and me. The council president's vote was a personal vendetta against me rather than a judgment based on the circumstances. I'm still waiting today for an official review committee from the mayor, city attorney, and the council president. This behavior among the mayor, council president, and the city attorney has persisted far too long. City leaders abusing their positions and allowing personal vendettas to influence their decisions. Hoover deserves better. Its citizens expect more. And gentlemen, if you cannot serve the city without letting personal agendas interfere, you should reconsider your positions.
Mr. McClinton, I got a few questions. Open the floor to questions. Mr. Sweeney? Mr. Sweeney, over the last year, have you been contacted by Mr. McClinton regarding the fees? Yes. Have you been asked to support funding of his fees? Yes. Mr. Murphy, have you been asked over the past year, have you been contacted by Mr. McClinton regarding his fees?
Yes.
Have you been asked to support?
No, he hasn't asked me that.
Mr. Posey, same question. Have you been contacted?
I've had conversations with Mr. McClinton about our group meeting, the three of us meeting to convene and talk about, the policy, which originally was this was good. This could be on the payment of the bills, paid like any other bill. And we met twice. The first time we did not come to a consensus, and we felt that a exoneration letter would take care of the issue. The mayor met with Steve and his wife and talked about that. The second time we did have a vote. And it was 2-1 against. So then that brought this process. So those are the conversations I've had with Steve. He mentioned that I told him that we did convene and did meet, which I did because you asked, and that's where we are.
Dr. Middlebrooks, have you been contacted over the last year?
Yes, sir.
And have you been asked to support the payment of the fees?
I know that Councilman Clinton gave me his viewpoint and
Yes or no?
facts as he
Yes or
viewed
no?
it. Well, if you ask me a question, just give me a chance to respond. I believe he asked me to support him in that, yes.
Okay. Mr. Posey, you've not been asked to support it?
Because I didn't support it. As I told you guys when we met the first meeting, I was a firm no. So I didn't support it, and when it got to that position, we were the three of us meeting with Mr. Corley. That's why I'm saying no.
The Ethics Commission that Mr. McClinton mentioned I think is a valid point in that, and I'm sure the counselor is aware that April 2010, then the Honorable James Stevens of Bessemer City Council asked a very similar question of the Ethics Commission. Could a sitting council member be reimbursed for legal fees assessed for a personal matter? And the Ethics Commission ruled that no, under the ethics law, a council member cannot be reimbursed for legal fees that do not have a corporate purpose, and the corporation, of course, being the city of Hoover. So, Mr. McClinton, what is the corporate purpose here for the fees that were incurred?
Well, again, to reimburse my legal fees for having to defend myself. Mr. Corley and the mayor convinced me not to pursue an ethics commission or an AG commission finding, because he said, the city attorney, that what would happen is that he knew what the answer would be. They would say it's a council decision and we should go from there. So I trusted them. They came up with a process. I went by their process. You warned me that if I did the process, you would vote no and make this public spectacle happen. And so Mr. Mercado, after he assured us that he would take care of this, he voted no. So that's why we are here today.
So to restate what you said in your first sentence, this was for your personal defense.
This was my defense and my capacity as a city councilman.
So what is the corporate purpose for the city then? If I'm reading the Ethics Commission opinion, and of course, Mr. Corley, verify that I'm correct in this, there must be a city corporate purpose.
If you like, I can share the part of the policy that
Please,
speaks to
yes.
that. And so this was not a process that I came up with. This is a city policy that was adopted in 1997. It was prepared by Judge Bishop, who's still our municipal judge. And so he researched this issue back in 1997, prepared a memo for the council, and established guidelines and policies, which the council adopted at that time in October 6, 1997. So, and it discusses, I won't read the policy in its entirety, but it discusses who qualifies for reimbursement of attorney's fees, and it would include all employees and elected or appointed officials and former employees who served in those capacities at the time of an alleged act. It requires the council or the city to determine three things, and this is based on state case law. One, the act must have arisen from the employee's discharge or his or her official duties. Number two, the employee performing those duties must have acted in good faith. And number three, the municipality must have a proper corporate interest in the action. If the foregoing factors are not established, an otherwise qualified employee shall not be entitled to reimbursement of legal costs. And so a discharge of official duties would include performing routine aspects of one's position or otherwise acting within the normal scope of one's responsibilities, acting pursuant to verifiable city policy or procedure, or following the direct orders of a supervisor. Good faith requires the employee not act with a willful or intentional disregard for city policy or the scope of one's authority. And so under the procedure, if an employee or official would like to be reimbursed for attorney's fees, they have to make a request describing the circumstances that necessitate it. If they desire to retain private counsel, they're supposed to report that desire to Human Resources Department. And then Human Resources provides these guidelines, including a fee schedule, and that fee schedule is kind of outdated, but it provides for you to take those factors into consideration. And then upon a notice from Human Resources that a request has been made, it says a review committee shall convene to determine whether the requirements authorizing payment have been established. And the committee is supposed to consist of the mayor, the president of the city council, and the pro tem of the council. And they're to meet, review this policy, and notify the employee or official whether they qualify for reimbursement. And until that is final, that decision can be withdrawn or retracted if the determination is later made it's not reimbursable. And so the committee met, and the last part of the policy, and again, I'm just paraphrasing some of this, that Upon an adverse recommendation, which is the committee voted not to, that did not meet those criteria, then the review committee, if following that adverse recommendation, the employee or official can appeal that to the city council. So I think that's what brings us here today. So the factors that were established under the case law, and that's several cases citing Birmingham versus Wilkinson, it talks about those three factors: corporate interest, discharge of official duties, and acting in good faith. And so this body would need to determine that factually in order to approve those fees and not have it be violated of the Alabama Ethics Act or Section 94 of the Constitution.
Section 94 of the Constitution, for clarity, would mean that a counselor could not indirectly influence that which he could not directly influence as well, correct?
No, sir, that's covered by the Alabama Ethics Act. The Section 94 of the Constitution states that a city can't use public funds for a private purpose.
Okay. Any other comments? I hate to dominate the conversation here, Mr. Murphy.
No, wait.
Okay.
To give my comments later.
Mr. McClinton, so when the decision was made to seek outside counsel, who from our legal team and Mr. Corley's team was consulted regarding the decision?
When I could not count on the city attorney to represent me, I had to get outside counsel because I was not getting a straight story from City Hall.
So is the answer no one?
No one what?
No one from no one from the city attorney's office was consulted
Oh, I consulted them.
regarding hiring an attorney?
The policy states that someone from the Human Resources Department should be consulted.
Okay.
And I've already done that.
Were they consulted regarding hiring the attorney?
By email. I used the very email format that he gave me to send to HR last December. I did exactly what he gave me.
You have that email?
I do have that email. I will say that request was made after the fact and after the legal services were performed.
Okay, so I ask again, was HR consulted prior to hiring a personal attorney for this matter?
Not before that fact, no.
Okay, was anyone from the city consulted? Anyone from the council?
So I need to contact HR or the council to hire an attorney to defend my good name and character when I'm not getting it done. And if it wasn't for department heads who told me what was going on behind the scenes, I never would have known about this. It was a political hit job from start to finish. And the sad thing is, John, you were emailed on it day one, and you never told me a thing about it.
So no one was consulted from the council?
Did you know about this from day one? Did you know about this from day one?
Was anyone
Did you know about this from day
I think the answer is no. So, members, this is a personal matter.
No, it's not.
A unilateral decision was made to hire a personal attorney, and the Ethics Commission is clear. The policy is clear, and that's the end of, that's all of my questions. Anyone else, Mr. Murphy?
I have one, Mr. President.
Yes.
You mentioned, and that one of you, I'm sorry, I'm confused which one it was, but somebody mentioned a corporate purpose. Was that you that mentioned
Yes.
corporate purpose? Okay. Can a corporate purpose be defending yourself when the mechanism that caused Steve to seek an attorney was a corporate mechanism in the complaint itself? So again, you know, I'm not asking this on his behalf or anything. I'm just asking, I'm confused on where the corporate mechanism fits in, because the corporation that is Hoover was the one that generated the complaint. So in that situation, with Steve being a council member, he either goes with the same legalese and human resources group that is in the corporation, or he goes with someone else. So I think it comes down to what is that and where is that line, and was that line crossed by seeking outside? Should he have stayed inside? I don't know. I just think that if we're going to go down those three criteria, that one, I need that answer. What is the corporate mechanism in this entire scenario?
So just referring back to the policy in the memo drafted by Judge Bishop, he cites a case called the City of Montgomery versus Collins, where the court describes the factors and whether the city has a proper interest or a corporate interest. And so I think you all have a copy of this policy, but I'll read this portion. The threat of civil liability to the municipality should its agent be convicted. So if there was a lawsuit against the city or a claim made against the city, that if it was found to be valid, would cause liability to the city. So that's one example. Another example cited in that case is the need to maintain the morale of city employees. Third, it says the need to enhance the reputation of the city so it may continue to attract qualified employees, or for other compelling reasons. And he says, while the Collins opinion does not specifically provide a concrete test to determine whether an interest amounts to a proper corporate interest, the factors listed above seem to suggest the following rule. A municipality may undertake to provide for the cost of legal services rendered on behalf of an employee if the city would derive some benefit from the representation, or the city would suffer a detriment if the representation ceased.
That is helpful. Okay, let me ask you this question, and it's the last one. Is a city council member considered an employee in the same sense that a department head or somebody that works in public works is considered an employee?
Let me answer slightly differently, because that answer may be no, but the answer is that the policy was drafted to include and cover officials as well as employees in these type situations.
Makes sense.
So for purposes of this policy, employee and official are both covered.
Okay, thank you.
After hearing that, Mr. Posey, can you tell me what the corporate purpose is?
That's a good question, because here's why. He's talking about, he mentioned civil liability, okay? There is not an inherent civil liability in just the simplest part of the claim of the report being filed, but there is a civil liability if the report was false, or if the report came back and there was an issue with the report, or even in a situation like this, possibly discussing something like this and hurting someone's good name or character. So I do feel like when that report was filed, while there's not an immediate civil liability, there is certainly a possible future or pending civil liability. So that's where I would see that the corporate part of it would come into play.
And at which time that claim was filed, there would become a need for representation.
Potentially, also someone with a potential claim against the city is, in the tort sense, has to file a notice of claim within 6 months, as we know, and there's an applicable statute of limitations.
So has there been any claims filed associated with this?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, just going back to the corporate interests. So I have to wrap my brain around this. And Mr. City Attorney, you may or may not be able to answer this directly. It may be a body call, so I'm relying on your guidance here. So the three questions, one was Steve acting within his duties of an elected official. To my knowledge, the initial outreach to the employee was to understand city policies and procedures on risk management. So that answers to, in my mind, that he was acting within his duties of the elected official. This is what my knowledge of the events. Two, was he acting with honorable intent? I respect each and every one of these members on this dais. For my answer on that, I believe Steve was acting with honorable intent when he was seeking, clarification on policy. Now, the corporate interest. If an elected member was worried about liability of his good name, his or her good name, character, is that a corporate interest of the city to protect any member's good name and character? And is that something that the body has to answer individually, or can you clarify that?
Well, I think you have to determine if that is a corporate interest. I don't think the the city has an interest in protecting anyone's good name and character, I mean, or
If I'm,
are you asking a
if I'm
personal
acting
question?
within duties of my elected capacity with honorable intent, but
Is it
someone,
Defined as good faith, not honorable intent.
okay,
but
good faith, in good faith, and someone libels my character within those confines, could that be considered corporate?
I would just have to refer back to the case law and the fact that it puts that test on the council as the finder of fact to determine whether that exists.
Okay, that's what, so it's
Right.
our
I mean, they
opinion
may-
whether or not that's corporate interest or
You know,
not.
they may evaluate that to see if there is a valid corporate purpose, but the initial decision would be on the council.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Can we obtain an opinion from the Attorney General?
You can request one. It requires a vote of the council and a specific question to be submitted to the Attorney General.
But again, the mayor and the city attorney insisted that I did not do that because they claimed, at least Mr. Corley claimed, he knew what the outcome would be. They would send it back to the council.
What's the turnaround time on obtaining an opinion? Ballpark.
I can't speak to that. I mean, I can certainly call and ask them what that turnaround time may be. It depends on the issue and how many other questions and issues are on their plate in front of it, but I wouldn't think it would take terribly long.
Okay.
And could we do that along Mr. Sweeney's question, could we do that in conjunction with an ethics opinion as the city of Bessemer did?
We could request that.
In like manner?
Just one quick one first. Councilman McClinton made a statement 3 or 4 times. Did that take place where he was told not to seek an opinion from the Attorney General's office, just so I'll be clear on that piece?
I mean, that's a factual conversation and context. I would rather not get into a he said about how that discussion went, but would be happy to discuss that further if you would like.
Well, I still have serious doubts because to me, if the city attorney and the mayor convinced me not to seek an ethics opinion or an AG opinion, now all of a sudden they want to do that, I question that credibility.
Well, neither of us have requested that. That was a
Well,
request by
this is
one
the
of your
process that
colleagues.
you came up with. You insisted that I do this, and so did the mayor.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it turns around and you flip it. So to
It's
me,
the-
I have no trust in the matter.
Mr.
the
McClinton,
choice of the
Mr. Sweeney
council.
brought the question up.
It's the choice of the council to request an AG's opinion. It's not my choice.
So what are we about to do, y'all? So we answer for a continuance to get that information or not? We got a lot. Okay. Who gonna make the motion?
I'll make a motion to continue it till, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get it in, next month?
Call the chair.
Call the chair?
Well, does that eliminate, well, there's the motion on the table.
We have a motion to continue to the call of the chair for an opinion from the Ethics Commission and Attorney General. Did I state that right, Mr. Sweeney? Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. We'll now move to item number 16 on the regular agenda, resolution number 8190-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute a development agreement with River Chase Crossing LLC, granting certain economic incentives with respect to certain real property and improvements thereon.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8190-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Mr. Knighton.
Yes, sir. As was mentioned at work session, this is about Project Aloha, which we've affectionately been working on with council for several months now. You have an agreement before you tonight with River Chase Crossing LLC, which is owned by Mr. Bill Livingston, who joins me here from Warner Robins, Georgia. Livingston Properties currently owns the River Chase Crossing Shopping Center at 1771 Montgomery Highway and plans to renovate the former Bed Bath & Beyond space into 2 new tenants. Livingston also plans for a future out parcel. The current 38,000 square foot Bed Bath & Beyond box will be subdivided into a 16,000 square foot space and a 22,000 square foot space. A national specialty retailer of interest tonight intends to lease the 16,000 square foot space, and another retailer will take the 22,000 square foot space. Per the developer, the national specialty retailer will produce approximately $30 million in annual sales and will create 35 to 40 jobs. Mr. Livingston's total investment is in excess of $11 million and his hard costs are in excess of $7 million. Our development agreement only accounts for rebates for the national specialty retailer. Estimated sales tax revenue off of that would be $900,000 a year, and if you apply a 5% annual growth rate per the developer over 10 years, that would generate some $11,320,000 for the city of Hoover. The proposed incentive is a 50% of net new sales tax revenue from the specialty retailer for 10 years with a cap of $1.7 million or whichever may come first. Additionally, the investments at the center would have a positive impact on property taxes. Our estimates show that the city's portion of property taxes would increase by $44,000 a year, with $35,000 of that going to Hoover City Schools. These new retailers will add to the revitalization of the Lorna Road and the Highway 31 corridors, while also filling an empty big box, which is tough to do these days, and generating new sales tax for the revenue for the city. For these reasons, the Office of Economic Development recommends approving the development agreement presented before you tonight.
Very good. Any questions or comments? This does require a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing for any comments or questions for either Mr. Knight or Mr. Livingston.
Mr. President, I'd just like to commend Mr. Knight and Mr. Livingston for bringing forward a project that redevelops an existing empty big box store. So that's encouraging and very appreciative. Thank you.
We're very grateful to be here and appreciate you guys considering the project.
Any member of the public here to speak on the resolution? Mr. Schultz. Robin from Bluff Park, I should say. Should get a name tag. Like a fine bond card.
I am all for tax abatements. I think tax abatements are what really can, as Mr. Knighton said, revitalize an area. But I have a question. One of the statements that Mr. Knighton made was that the national retailer intends to lease the particular location. It's my understanding that the lease was signed about 2 months ago, which indicates that this turns from an incentive for the individual to lease it, the retailer to lease it, to a reward that they leased it. So I would like to ask the council to check to see if the lease was actually signed 2 months ago, to continue it, and then if it was not, then vote on it at the next meeting. If it was, we need to re-examine whether we're doing incentives or whether we're doing rewards, because there is a big difference between the two. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Let me make a statement.
Yes, sir.
So just to be clear, everyone, so typically Greg and his team, I serve as the on the Commerce and Development chair, and typically this is not an item that comes up in 2 or 3 days or a week or so. They spend 4 and 5 and 6 months with these different individuals, recruiting, the whole 9 yards. They prepare enough information and they submit it to the council for review. No communication can be had, but only to be asked questions to Greg and his team if there's any information they need to make a informed decision for the diet. So I don't want anybody to have the idea that 30 days ago discussion started. Everyone can recall it was a incentive category list that they developed all the way from grocery stores, you name it. waiving of business tax fees, things of that nature. So there's a lot to do. And Greg, if possible, maybe next meeting or so, if you can give like an overview, a timeline of all the things y'all have done for recruiting mechanism over a period of time. Not now, you're fine, unless you want to say something now, but we spend a lot of time on a lot of topics, so this is the next meeting. That'll be great.
Very good.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to speak at the public hearing? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We have a motion to approve, second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. We look forward to doing business with you guys and continuing the relationship and bringing a A-class quality center to your town and continuing the business and investing more in the future.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you.
Item number 17, ordinance number 24-2654. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance approves the final 10% of the budget for the city of Hoover, Alabama for the period beginning October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance number 2654.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. This requires a public hearing, which we will open now and ask the body any questions or comments for the ordinance before you. Hearing none, any member of the public here to speak at the public hearing for ordinance 24-2654? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Posey?
Aye.
Counselor Sweeney?
Aye.
Counselor Murphy? Counselor Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Counselor McClinton?
Aye.
Counselor Lida?
Aye. A vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 18, resolution number 8191-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance, directing the abatement of said nuisance pursuant to Alabama law for the property located at 2660 Foothills Drive.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8191-24.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mr. Martin.
Part of the agenda everybody's waiting on.
Yes, sir.
There is still a nuisance in play at this particular location, so we ask that the council would consider declaring it for abatement.
Any questions for Mr. Martin from the body? Very good. Any questions from the public? Anyone here to speak about this property in question?
There is someone living there. I saw a Grubhub stop there the other day, so.
All right.
I
Very
live
good.
close by.
We will close the public hearing. We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item number 19, resolution 8174-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes the abatement of weed and other vegetation nuisance at 2152 Larchmont Circle, Hoover, Alabama.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8174-24.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This site is still in violation and in need of abatement.
Pictured above. Any questions from the body regarding Larchmont? Anyone from the public here to speak on this address or resolution? Seeing none, there's a motion and second for approval on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now consider for immediate consideration ordinance number 24-2655. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance approves the annexation of property located at 2308 Old Rocky Ridge Road and authorizes Mayor Brocado to execute any documents necessary to effectuate such annexation.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance number 24-2655.
Second.
Would there be interest in having a motion for suspension of rules for immediate consideration?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration.
Is there a second on the motion, Mr. Murphy? We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Middlebrooks, and a second. This does require a unanimous vote by the body. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Posey? Aye. Councilmember Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton? Aye. Councilmember Lida?
Aye. With a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries, and the item will be taken up immediately. The ordinance has been read. Any members of the body like to speak regarding the ordinance of the annexation? Any member of the public here to speak in the public hearing? Yes, sir. Come on down if you could speak to us, please. We'd love to have you.
You use a lot of big words for me, so I just want to make sure.
We can keep it simple.
I guess I'm clear. I've sat around and it's been very entertaining. Is it approved or not?
We're going to take a vote here in just a minute.
Okay.
And the majority of the 6 members, the way the vote goes, we'll let you know how it goes, okay?
All right. Is there anything?
Are you the property owner?
Yes. Is there anything I need to say on behalf? Or?
There's not. I think you're going to be pleased with the outcome. Anybody else from the public like to speak? We have a motion and a second for approval. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Making sure I got this first and the second. That was Councilmember Posey and Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
You can take my name off of it if you want to.
So, that was for the immediate consideration, and I did a roll call vote for that, but now I need a motion and approval for actual.
Okay. Mr. President, I move to approve, move for the adoption of ordinance number 24-2655.
We have a motion and a second. Motion and a second for the adoption. Now, Madam Clerk, we can call the roll.
Councilmember Posey?
Aye.
Councilmember Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton?
Aye.
Councilmember Leda?
Aye. With a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, you are now a resident of the city of Hoover. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We'll now move to item number 21, ordinance number 24-2657. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance approves the annexation of property at 3951 South Shades Crest Road and authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute any document necessary to effectuate that annexation.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the suspension of the rules. This does require a unanimous vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Posey?
Aye.
Councilmember Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy? Councilmember Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton?
Aye.
Councilmember Leda?
Aye. With a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries, and we will consider this item for immediate consideration. The ordinance has been read. I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 24-2657.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adoption. Any questions or comments from members of the body? Any member of the public here on behalf of this property? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come down?
I don't have anything to add, just except for 3 sides of my property already touch Hoover, and we very much like to be annexed in.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to bring you into the city of Hoover. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Posey? Councilmember Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton?
Aye.
Councilmember Leda?
Aye. With a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, you too are now residents of the city of Hoover. Welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 22 is a first reading, resolution number 8192-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes abatement of weed or other vegetation nuisance at 2125 Tyler Lane, Hoover, Alabama. A public hearing scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
Item number 23 will also be a first reading, resolution number 8193-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes the abatement of such weed or other vegetation nuisance at 2400 Savoy Street, Hoover, Alabama. A public hearing is scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
Item number 24 is a resolution 8194-24 for a first reading. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes abatement of weeds and other vegetation nuisance at 3469 Birch Tree Drive, Hoover, Alabama. Public hearing scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
And item 25, resolution number 8195-24.
This resolution authorizes abatement of weeds and other vegetation nuisance at 5303 Parkside Circle, Hoover, Alabama. A public hearing is scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
Item 26, resolution number 8196-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution grants conditional use to allow for an indoor golf and teaching facility with on-premise beer and wine sales for the property located at 1218 Alford Avenue, Hoover, Alabama, in accordance with the conditions listed on Exhibit 2 to the resolution. A public hearing is scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
And finally, item number 27, an ordinance 24-2656 for a first reading.
This ordinance amends Ordinance Number 263 to allow for 2 additional single-family residential units located on Lot 5E1 of International Park. The property is further described on Exhibit A to the ordinance for a total of 3 single-family units. This property is zoned PR1, planned single-family. A public hearing is scheduled for August 19th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Corley. Any comments tonight from the council?
Yes, just a couple, Mr. President. Will be placed on the, starting today or tomorrow, filling vacancies for the Industrial Development Board, Commercial Development Board, and also Downtown Redevelopment Authority. So that'll be put out. Hopefully, I can make recommendations sometime next month. Also, Mr. President, can you consider changing the speaker policy to omit the last name and only ask for the neighborhood, not the address, for consideration?
Yes, sir. We'll take that up over the next couple of weeks and discuss how with the attorney and the city clerk on how to best manage that. Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the body? We'll now open it up to public comments. Public is welcome to speak for 3 minutes. You're recognized. We'll give them Ms. Carter, who's been incredibly patient. So we'll allow her to come back, Mr. Smith, if that's okay.
Well, first of all, I'm going to pick up where I left off, but I'm going to start by saying how embarrassed I am that I brought my son with me to this meeting, teaching him how public service works, because I've always been so proud of Hoover versus some of our neighbors in Birmingham that we talk about, and what we saw tonight kind of answers the question of why we have some of the questions that we have. It looks like the business of this city is secondary to a shit show that we saw here.
Ms. Carter,
Mr. McClinton.
If you go have a seat, please. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Smith, you're
Councilman
recognized.
McClinton, it
Ms.
sounds
Carter,
like
have a
you
seat.
wanted justice.
Ms. Carter, please have a seat.
Sounds like people gave you their word,
Officer,
like
can
the
you help me with Ms. Carter,
councilman
please?
give us our word to take care of the city.
Ms. Carter, you can have a seat, please. Mr. Smith, you're recognized.
I've got a big TV screen up here now. Gene Smith, 1080 Magnolia Run, next to Target. People can find me. I didn't bring up my conversation in item 14 because I didn't think minutes were germane to the vote. One of the things I do want to bring up about having the old style complete set of minutes versus what you have now is there were many times over the 16 years that I served that I would go and research old minutes to determine legislative intent when looking at adjusting ordinances or look at policies and procedures. And it's hard to determine legislative intent with the way that you have things now. Now, you do have the video recordings for right now, so if it's good if it comes up within the 8 years. But there are many things that I would look back 10, 12, 14 years and look up and try to find the legislative intent. And that's probably the main reason that I wanted to bring this up and try to go back to the old style of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Ken King, 5242 Cottage Lane, Hoover. I'm one of those folks that actually watch the YouTube channels. I'm a bit of a political campaign nut, and I just get into it. I like watching it. I think it's great. I think it's good for the city. In fact, a lot of you I actually know and recognize. I supported some of your early campaigns. I remember years ago that when you guys ran for office, one of the cool things I love about campaign life is this idea that folks decide to run for office. I love how true to the citizens they are at the time. Everyone seems so intense and passionate about the work. They all seem so, above, not just doing the minimum. Everyone seems so passionate about raising the standard, doing above and beyond, and not just doing the bare minimum, but just knocking it out the park. And I really appreciate that. The other cool thing I like about working on campaigns is that quite often you have candidates that are at a place where they're open to actually doing the bidding of citizens. They're open and eager to help advocate for people. And I'm not saying that that's not the case now, but I am saying what happens in politics, you all know this, is that once you get elected, folks get into this thing where, you know, business, special interests, folks have their own, you know, they're all tugging on you. And so what happens over time, that altruism and that passion for people kind of wanes, in my opinion. And so I came tonight in part because I was like, hey man, I've been watching this thing. I don't really know what's going on lately, but it seems different. Just different. Like what I'm used to seeing was a lot of working together, a lot of camaraderie, again, you get things done. Politics is war, it's dirty, I get it. But I've seen a lot of stuff that just seems like, how is that? I just watched the whole, I get it, you gotta get it out. But I just watched a 30-minute, back and forth about something that I think there's a lot of passion about it, but again, I don't know how that serves the people. And so my only comment and request today really is, as a reminder, you probably don't get a whole lot of speakers like this, but my only reminder and request is, when I see things about, the forensic audit and the financials in disarray and votes to actually remove the council president and things about this revolving door with administrative staff and CFOs. I mean, it's a lot going on I just hadn't seen in years with Hoover. And so my only ask would be that whatever it is, right? If you're under duress, blink twice, let me know. I want to help. But if you're okay, right, and you're fine, you haven't succumbed to the energy of being an elected official, and you still feel very passionate about serving the people, I just want to encourage you. Please do that. Please do that. No one's cemented. I know when you're in office, it seems like you're in this bubble, and it seems like that you can do no wrong, and it's not getting out to the citizens. I'm telling you, I'm out here. Folks don't like it. They think things have changed. And again, as a campaign guy, a lot of y'all know how this goes, right? You got an election coming up, and if people aren't happy, you might not be here next time. So my hope is that everybody here can find a way to figure this out, because right now you're doing a disservice to the folks who live in the city of Hoover. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Mitzi Eaker from Inverness, and I have good news to share. I am with Enjoy Hoover. Enjoy Hoover started in 2020 by David Cohen. He started that because our businesses in Hoover were shuttered, and he wanted people to know how you could get food at restaurants when shops were open. And so he started that in 2020 as a website to let people know what was open in Hoover. And then in 2021, he reached out to me, and we started Hoover Restaurant Week with a group from the Chamber of Commerce. And then we started, we decided we were gonna do a magazine. And so we do the Enjoy Hoover. How many of you have seen this around? It's published every other month, and it highlights all the things to do in Hoover. We wanted to do, I was part of Leadership Hoover, and we looked into maybe doing something with the city as far as hospitality and tourism. And so this was one of the ideas that our group came up with, and I actually worked with the city right before the World Games to put together the promotional materials for that, and worked with Ms. Posey to put together a promotional video for the World Games. And we just had a great time doing some amazing things. Our magazine launched right before the World Games, so we've been doing this for 2 years. But and then we also did a guide to baseball that went into all of the hotels. But fresh off the press, that's why I'm here today. Today we launched the Hoover City School Yearbook. So this was a project that we wanted to do. I did marketing research, met with Dr. Esslinger and Dr. Maddox, and we talked about if you could put something together to highlight what's going on in the city schools, what would that look like? And so each of the city schools has their own 3 pages in here highlighting exactly what they want to highlight. So I brought the first 20 for you guys to have, and we're taking 100 to each of the schools for them to promote, and to the chamber and to economic development. So when businesses come, you can say, look at what we have in Hoover. And as far as our city schools. And then look what we have in Hoover as far as baseball, and look what we have in Hoover as far as things to do when you visit our city, if you live here, or if you're visiting for a baseball tournament or visiting family. We have something to do and share with you at Enjoy Hoover. And I want to thank the city for being an advertising sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aker. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, April Marie Fogol again for Alabama Today. Goodness. Thank you so much, Mayor, for the update earlier on the city audit. Just for those of you who don't know, I emailed the public information officer 80 days ago. I've received confirmation that she got that email. I had about a 1.5-minute phone call assuring me I'd get information I never received. 54 days ago, I sent a public records request on the ongoing audit. The idea, and I'm looking at you now, sir, the idea that it is privileged communication and email from one counselor to the other counselors is absurd. I have reached out to a number of attorneys, and if that is the advice you are giving the council, I have questions. It has been 650 days, you guys, since October of 2022, since the Hoover Sun asked for detailed information related to who authorized the initial deletion of the YouTube videos. Transparency shouldn't be randomly and selectively applied. Imagine not being able to have seen this full meeting in the future or reading incredibly vague minutes about it later. Future generations of Hoover residents, historians, businesses wanting to come to this city or businesses already here, and yes, even pesky journalists should be able to review the minutes and the video and have a clear picture of what is going on within the city. When someone puts in a public records request, it should be handled in a timely manner. That individual should not have to come to council meeting, council workshop, after council meeting, and after workshop, and chase down attorneys and city clerks. The city is better than this. Every resident I speak to tells me the city is better than this. I want to encourage the city to adopt additional resolutions to address these issues I bring before you tonight. We need to address public records requests and the timeliness and communication related to them. Governor Kay Ivey and the legislature has passed laws that state the importance of public records requests. We also need to make sure those requests are not said they are attorney-client privilege when they are very clearly not. We need to address the lack of responsiveness from city employees. And if they say they're going to call and they're not going to call, someone from the city's attorney's office can say why not. That is all I have for you this evening. Thank you for your time.
Any other comments tonight? Very good. Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.